Hey guys, welcome in. Happy Monday. It is the day that we reintroduce our new book for week 26 out of 30. Means we've got 4 weeks left. 4 phenomenal books, 5 including this one. This week it is The Dance of Anger. And I absolutely love this book. I love this book for a variety of different reasons. So as you guys come in, feel free to share this video out. Getting in touch with our anger is an important aspect, and it's a very, very uncomfortable thing to learn to do. So as you come in, feel free to share the video, invite some folks into the conversation. If you are catching this on a replay, thank you so much for that extra investment. If you're on YouTube, thank you and welcome. For those of you who are just joining in for the very first time and don't really know me, don't know what this is all about, 30 Books in 30 Weeks is a personal development journey that we started over 6 months ago. It started last October, actually, the end of October. And so really up-leveling the personal development. So I've rated my personal development library for the last 26 weeks, and I've brought to you every single week new ahas, takeaways, nuggets, breadcrumbs, whatever you want to call them, that help you on your journey towards the life, relationship, and businesses that you love to live. And my name is Marcy Batiste. I'm your Ultimate Power Coach. Again, thank you for joining in. I am America's #1 reality-based success and recovery trainer, and the specialty is shoring up that personal foundation and powering up that professional foundation. So, The Dance of Anger. I got this book for the first time about 6 years ago after my domestic violence incident. I was in therapy at the time with a psychiatrist because what I realized was that I was the common denominator of all my bad experiences. And what I mean by that was, I firmly believe that nothing happens. Everything happens for a reason. So everything that occurs is a reaction to something that previously took place. And so what I realized was that I was the common denominator of my bad experiences in my unhealthy and unhappy toxic relationships, up to and including the one that ended in physical violence. And one of the things that I had never ever learned to do was to process anger. I think as little girls especially, we're taught to just let shit go. We're taught that not to make a fuss, don't make a big deal out of it. A lot of times when we try and advocate for ourselves, we're stifled, or we feel as though we're stifled. And so that teaches us and lays tracks in us as little girls that anger is not okay. Little boys are taught that it's okay to express anger, it's okay to be mad. They, on the other hand, are not taught how to process the gentler emotions, such as fear and being hurt. But they're taught to go ahead and let their anger out. And as women, little girls, were taught to hold our anger in. And what I want to share with you guys today, I titled this video "Being Pissed Off is Okay," because it is. It really is. To deny that we're angry, to deny that we're pissed off, to deny that we're disappointed, frustrated, irritated, whatever the case may be. But if you deny that you are angry, you will get stuck there. You will get stuck in whatever that situation, hey Joy, whatever that circumstance is, you will be stuck in that place. And so the reason why I say it's being pissed off is okay is you can't move beyond that circumstances. You can't move beyond that pain until you acknowledge all of the emotions that go through that. So, I deal a lot with PTSD because of my work with domestic violence. And that's a really tough thing when you can't tell between the hurt, the pain, the disappointment, the anger, but you don't feel like you have a right to be angry. And that's how we get stuck in these really, really hurtful, disappointing, hey Scott, what's going on, baby? We get stuck in these places where we just can't seem to move on. And it's because we're denying and we're stuffing down emotions that we have to feel. We have to feel them. One of my clients is a great avoider of anger, and for her, it's indicative. She's afraid that she's going to get stuck there. And so one of the things I was sharing with her when we were talking about some things that she feels, she's been denying that she was angry, and she was saying that, I was hurt, I'm this, I'm that, but she was never saying I'm angry. I'm like, no, you're pissed off about it. Say you're pissed off. And she's so afraid of getting stuck and labeled as this angry woman. And you only get stuck there if you don't have the tools in your toolbox to move through that process. And a lot of times we put, so there's two streams. So there's the one person who doesn't want to be angry, and then there's the other person who's constantly angry, and she's mad and she's pissed off at everything. And you're like, it's not that serious. Like, why are you this angry? And it's because, again, same situation, different ways of coping with it, but it's unacknowledged anger. And so this book this week, The Dance of Anger, it says a woman's guide to changing the patterns of intimate relationships. And so obviously, because I was in an abusive relationship, prior to that, several toxic relationships. Hey, Josiah. Hi, honey. Prior toxic relationships. For me, I knew that I had to change how I engage in relationships. And so one of the things you guys hear me say all the time, we teach people how to be in relation with us, right? And so it's easier for me to process anger. It's easier for me to process emotions, disappointments, frustrations, because I acknowledge each one of those stages. I acknowledge the phases. I honor them, and I give them their time. But I also know that there are ways to move through it and to not get stuck there. And that's the thing. And so that's when, we talk about the values of having a coach, having that personal board of directors, having the circle that's going to keep it real with you, right? Because you oftentimes will get surrounded with people who only think like you, and who will always co-sign your choices, whether they're good for you or whether they're bad for you. And you have to have people around you who are going to check you in the middle. And that's how you keep from getting stuck. And so the value of having a coach with you as you're processing through emotions, disappointments, frustrations, anger, and so on, is that that's how they keep you from getting stuck. So I was telling my client, I said, hey, Gradison, I said, I know you're afraid of getting stuck in that angry place again. I know you're afraid of that. I know you're afraid that if you go back to the anger and you acknowledge it and you address it and you feel it, that you're afraid that the anger is going to convert to depression. And what I shared with her is that the anger won't manifest into those things this time, because she now has a support system to keep her on the right path, to keep her moving forward. As long as you move forward through anger, you won't get stuck. You won't become, and you won't find yourself labeled with that angry woman title. Again, like I said, men, boys are raised to be able to express anger. Their emotional baggage is on a different level. But what I will say about that for some individuals, that even though it's okay to express your anger, you have to channel that appropriately. You can't just lash out at people. In the case of my abuser, I would say that he was someone who just didn't know how to properly manage his anger. He didn't have the communication skills to be able to talk about situations. He didn't have the confidence or the self-esteem, whatever the case may be, to be able to communicate how he's feeling, why he's feeling the way he's feeling, and then have the trust to assume that someone's going to be able to receive that and love him through it. And so he chose to lash out physically. You have people that lash out verbally, and this is men and women. But again, it's because you haven't learned proper communication techniques, you don't have the tools in your toolbox to process anger appropriately. And that's where a great coach, someone who understands cognitive behavior, understands the thought processes, understands the stages of grief, the stages of recovery and healing, and all those things, all these journeys that we go on. Anger is normal. It's okay to feel pissed off. It's not okay to lash out at people. It's not okay to be physically violent against people. It's not okay to, over assert yourself against others, because ultimately your anger is your personal feeling. Right, wrong, or indifferent. It's your feeling. You're entitled to that feeling. No one's telling you that your feeling is wrong, but there's a way to process the emotion and process the corresponding behaviors appropriately. And so that's the conversation we're going to talk about this week, is really truly how do you dance with anger? How do you do the two-step with it? How do you maneuver with the anger and not get stuck in it and not find yourself as an angry individual? So that's going to be our conversation this week. The book is The Dance of Anger by Dr. Harriet Lerner, PhD, and I absolutely love the nuggets that I learned from this book. It helped me tremendously, and I'm excited to share a few of those takeaways and ahas and nuggets and breadcrumbs with all of you to help you shore up your personal foundations and power up your professional aspirations. So have a good night. As always, thanks for living life on Mars, and thanks for being part of the Ultimate Power team. I'm glad you're here.